Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum dear students. Welcome to English Grade 8 video lecture series. I hope that you're doing well. Students, today we are going to cover our lecture 4B and we are going to talk about punctuation cues and specifically parentheses, those round brackets that you see in your text. Now, how do we use them? How do we identify the purposes as well? Let's talk about our students' learning outcome. It says, use common punctuation cues to aid or to help our understanding or comprehension when we are reading. For example, comma, full stop, exclamation mark, colon, dash, parenthesis, slash, ellipsis. And there are so many more punctuation cues or marks. Now today we will talk about parentheses, the round brackets. How do we use them in the English language? Now students, you must have noticed that the parentheses are also used for other subjects like mathematics. They are working with numbers, but when we are talking about English, we need to use them carefully. Now let's see. Here is your vertical linkage of the learning outcome. And moving on, let's talk about the use of parentheses with an example. Now, think of a time when you had to explain something with additional details. How would you use parentheses? This is the plural of parentheses to add information without changing the main sentence. So, if you want to make the sentence in a very good manner, but you also want to give more detail within the sentence, how do you do it? Yes, we can use some punctuation cues, some marks like parentheses to give additional extra information in that brackets, in the parentheses, for making our statement clear. Now, here you have an example. For example, my cat is very energetic and loves to play outside. Now, students, if we use parentheses, this is without parentheses. Now, my cat is very energetic, especially in the morning, and loves to play outside. Now, did you notice any difference? The main idea, the message is same, but in the second sentence with parentheses, we used additional information. In the first sentence, we said, my cat is very energetic and loves to play outside. But we did not mention any period or time in the whole day. My cat is very energetic, especially in the morning, and loves to play outside. We are giving extra information, and if we remove this information, does it make a difference? No. The sentence still standing out to be correct and perfect. So, this is how you use your parentheses. Even if it is removed from the sentence, it should still make sense. And now, do we always give extra information and use parentheses only then? Or do we have other purposes of parentheses? Let's find out. Let's talk about parentheses. They look like this. You open a bracket and then you close that round bracket, and this makes it a complete use of parentheses. Now let's talk about the different uses. First one is to enclose numbers or letter. So that's when we are going to use our parentheses. If we have numbers that we need to add, or letters like abbreviations and acronyms. For example, the current population is nearing 8 billion. Now, we enclosed the numerical way of writing 8 billion by using parentheses. So, we enclosed numbers in our sentence using parentheses. And if we say this swift growth has raised alarms among leaders at the United Nations or UN. Now, to give the full form to the reader for their understanding, you can use parentheses to enclose these letters, United Nations. So, they are enclosed in parentheses. So, here we are giving numerical value, numbers, and here we are giving the full forms, the abbreviations or extra information. Let's read another sentence. The COO, Chief Operating Officer, position went to Sam Anderson. Now, COO, what is the full form? If you want to explain the full form, you have to use parentheses. He received a generous bonus from work. Now, how much bonus did he get? Can we tell it in the numbers? Yes. 10,000 rupees. We can enclose the number in the bracket. Now, instead of using it over here, you can also use your parenthesis in the middle of the sentence where it needs explanation. Basit can be reached at this number. Now, students, when we are using the country code, every country has different code, every area has different code. So if you want to give a number, you can enclose the country code in bracket and then the rest of the number. So this is also a very important use of parentheses that we see in our daily life. So here we enclose the numbers, we enclosed the abbreviations, the full forms, and we also enclosed some terminologies. COO, which is an acronym for Chief Operating Officer. Now let's move on. Students, we need to enclose our extra additional material or information in parentheses. We use parentheses to enclose asides and additional information that are not part of the grammatical structure of the main clause. For example, it is becoming crowded and there might not be enough resources to go around. That's what we mean when we talk about overpopulation. Now, if you take this part without parentheses, it is making complete sense. But we are actually explaining it using our words in a parenthesis. It's becoming crowded and there might not be enough resources to go around. That's what we mean when we talk about overpopulation. The world's population is rapidly approaching 8 billion, which is a notable increase from 5 billion in 1987. So here we are giving a comparison. We are measuring two different time zones according to the world population. So in 1987, the world population was 5 billion. In 2024, it has increased to 8 billion. So we are just giving additional information and we are marking off explanatory material in our parentheses. Now, students, I hope the use is very much clear. We can also enclose our numbers for listing something in parentheses as you already use it, but without knowing it. So let's see. We use parentheses to enclose numbers or letters in a list that is part of the grammatical structure of the clause. So in a clause, when we are listing some things, we are using parentheses. Here we have a definition of prepositional phrases as an example, and we are using parentheses for numbers and list. Prepositional phrases function as the following. Number 1, modifiers. Number 2, complements. Number 3, adjuncts, etc. Now all these are different things and we are using we are using our parentheses to enclose the numbers. The department is looking for a new manager who can work any shift, will work multiple shifts per day, and number 3 is willing to work overtime. Now this is all in one sentence. This was a one sentence, and the next one is another full sentence. But we, instead of listing it down, breaking down the structure of the sentence, we have listed everything in the sentence but using parentheses to show off the numbers and different conditions or types and all these things. Now students, let's see, where do we put our full stop when we are ending the sentence with a bracket, with the closed bracket? So if the phrase that goes inside the parenthesis or brackets is not a full sentence, the period goes outside the phrases or brackets. The full stop goes outside. For example, the study will continue into the future. Now the full stop should be over here or here or here. Yes, the full stop, the period should be at the end. The study will continue into the future, and we are giving additional information until May 2021. But we have to use it, the punctuation mark full stop at the end, because that information is part of our sentence, and that's why we have to put the full stop not here, not inside, but outside after closing the bracket. So this is the correct way of using the punctuation mark. You can watch this simulation link, students, to understand more about parentheses. And for your classroom activity, you have to solve the related exercise to the main lesson. Use parentheses where needed in these sentences. Read the sentences, figure out that if the information is additional, are there any numbers, explanatory material, etc., and use the parentheses correctly. Here is your homework where you have to create 2 of your own sentences and use parentheses to include extra information. So be creative with your sentences. Try to not copy from anything, but create your own sentences and then use the parentheses. Here is your worksheet, and in the worksheet, you are given an opportunity to use these parentheses in your sentences. All these resources are given, students. You can access them easily. They are available in the description of the video for putting your knowledge into practice, and you must go through the worksheet and the skill sheet for learning effectively. This is all about today's lecture about parentheses. We have seen that how we can use them in different cases, different scenarios with examples. So students, now it's time for you to practice it. I'll see you in the next video lesson. Allah Hafiz.